Imagine holding on to a dumbbell. Now imagine holding on to it by a thread, because that's how the map of India looks like. We call it the chicken's neck, or formerly the Siliguri Corridor. It's a tiny, slender piece of land that is almost 22 kilometers at its tightest point. So basically, you can run through the entire width of India in just 2 hours. It's like a half marathon. And yet, this strip of land, this terrestrial umbilical cord, is what connects the mainland India to its 8 northeastern states. It is the jugular vein through which flows everything: food, fuel, soldiers, and the economic security of over 45 million of its citizens. Now, security experts throughout the years have been claiming this as India's Achilles heel. But things have gone from worrying to terrifying in the recent past. Because after the regime change in Bangladesh in 2024 August, there are talks about grabbing this corridor. Today, we'll try and discuss this geopolitical fulcrum of South Asia. We'll try and understand why this strip exists, the new threats from China and Bangladesh, and India's plans to hit back. Let's get started. So how did India end up with a map that looks like it's being strangled? Well, you can thank the hastily drawn lines of the 1947 partition. Because the Ratcliffe line was tasked with carving up the subcontinent based on religion. And let's just say that military logic wasn't exactly a priority. It was a rush job. And by giving the Rangpur division to East Pakistan, that is now Bangladesh, the partition severed the northeast from its natural ports like Chittagong. And the result? Well, a geographical nightmare. Because to the north we have Nepal and the strategic Chumbi Valley of Tibet, to the south and east Bangladesh. So it's a bottleneck where the sovereignty of a massive nation is just funneled through this strip of land that is narrower than the range of a standard artillery gun. And it's not just flat land, it's a mess of rivers like Teesta and the Mahananda. So it makes quick military movement a nightmare, especially during the monsoon. Because essentially the geography doesn't allow India to trade space for time. So if the military of the opposition advances just 130 kilometers, they don't have to conquer the entire northeast. They can just strip this chicken's neck, and almost all of a sudden 2.5 lakh square kilometers of India is isolated. Now these were just theoretical problems. But until recently, because the idea of Greater Bangladesh is gaining traction. Now of course the official position of the government of Bangladesh is that these are just conspiracy theories. But if you look into the radical circles, these theories are alive and kicking. This concept suggests that Bangladesh is too crowded and that the Muslim majority districts of Assam and West Bengal are just natural living space for their population. The idea is that you don't need an army to take the corridor. You just use demographic aggression, unregulated migration to change the population until the border becomes meaningless. And this got a lot scarier after August 2024. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who was friendly with India, was ousted. And the new interim government led by Mohammad Yunus has pivoted away from New Delhi. And the rhetoric, it is just heated. There are people like Hasnat Abdullah, who was a prominent figure in the anti-Hasina protests, who have publicly stated that if India tries to destabilize Bangladesh, they can just cut off the Seven Sisters. Now we all know that is a bit of a bold statement. And we all can agree that Bangladesh doesn't have the military might to take on India. But the fact that they are having the courage to speak the quiet part loud, that is worrying. And what's more worrying is that there is the China factor. Just 135 kilometers from the Siliguri Corridor and only about 15 kilometers from the Indian border sits the Lalmornihat Airbase in Bangladesh. Now this is a relic from the World War II era and has been asleep for decades. But recently, the new government in Dhaka has decided to wake it up with a little help from Chinese technical assistance and funding. Indian intelligence isn't buying the story. that it's just for civil aviation. They fear this could become a Chinese listening post or a forward base. A Chinese radar here could monitor every Indian fighter jet taking off from the nearby bases, like Harismara. So it's a part of what looks like an encirclement strategy. Tibet is to the north, a Chinese-influenced Bangladesh to the south, so it forces India to prepare for a 2.5 front war in case. So is India just sitting idle there biting its nails? Absolutely not. India's policy has shifted from passive deterrence to active dominance. India has set up new garrisons specifically to safeguard this area, including setting up of new bases in Mizoram and Bihar. India have moved in the big guns, the Rafale fighter jets, the S-400 missile systems, to make sure that nobody flies over this area without permission. But the cheekiest response came from the political leadership. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma recently pointed out something very interesting. He said, yes, India has a chicken's neck, but Bangladesh has two.
1. The North Bangladesh Corridor, an 80-kilometer stretch lying between India's Dakshin Dinajpur and Meghalaya's southwest Garo Hills. Disruption here could isolate Bangladesh's Rangpur division. 2nd, the Chittagong Corridor. Only 28 kilometers wide, this link connects the economic hub of Chittagong with Dhaka and passes near South Tripura in India.
So this is like a geopolitical version of mutually assured disruption. India is basically saying that if you squeeze our neck, we will basically break yours. And the irony is that this all could have been avoided. There is this alternate trade route via Bangladesh, the Titulia Corridor, that is 4 to 6 kilometers wide, and that would have reduced the distance of Indian travel goods by almost 80 kilometers. But despite multiple trade agreements, Bangladesh hasn't given a green light. Definitely to keep the Siliguri vulnerability alive as a bargaining chip. Now, if good sense would have prevailed, if there would have been political goodwill and economic logic, the Siliguri Corridor would have been an economic hub, a booming trade hub. But with the radicalization in Bangladesh and the Chinese infrastructure closing in, it is just a pressure cooker of geopolitics now. India is digging in, prepared to defend its territorial integrity at all costs. So what do you think? Will the two chickens neck strategy help to keep peace? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and found it engaging, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.